I am giving Guild Wars 2 another chance. It's the MMO renowned for having, apparently, everything a gamer could want. Dynamic events while leveling, smart world scaling, the combat is so action-packed that you'll need a seatbelt just to stay in the chair? Really? Before we dive into the video though, we have to thank this channel's sponsor, Zygor. Zygor is World of Warcraft's ultimate add-on and also the sponsor for this channel, so I wanted to give them a quick shout out real fast. If you're looking for awesome leveling guides, achievement farming guides, mount collecting, gold making, you name it guys, check out Zygor today, link down below in the description. And after trying out Zygor's free version, if you decide to upgrade to full, be sure to use Nixium for 20% off. Thanks, guys. All right, back in the day when Guild Wars 2 first came out, I gave it a shot. I tried it, but I never really got into this game. I never really gave it a fair shot. But I mean, come on, World of Warcraft was still the hot cheese back then. I had to get my WoW kick constantly, otherwise I'd go crazy. But now, suddenly, everybody is talking about Guild Wars 2 again, like it's the best thing since hot chocolate. What the heck is going on? So I thought to myself, why not check out Guild Wars 2 again? It's not like I got anything better to do. I decided that I was going to play the game for a few hours just so that I could get a good first impression of what it's like to play as a newcomer. And in the session, I had the following goals. 1, I wanted to explore the dynamic event system further that it has for questing. Is it really as fun as people say it is? We're going to find out. 2, the storytelling. Is it engaging? Is it interesting? Or does it suck? 3, progression in this game. As I level up, what's it like learning new skills, abilities? Does it feel rewarding? Does gear have an impact when you get it? I don't know. 4, professions. I love professions in MMOs, so you know I'm gonna give those a shot in this game. And number 5, PvP. It's a combat action MMO thing. So does PvP suck in the game? We're gonna find out. So this is my story, everybody. The story of my glorious return to Guild Wars 2. A game that was previously just a blip on our radars, but now maybe has the potential to take over our lives as our newest addiction. Action Man. Look at this guy, dude. He is massive. This is my character. He's a Norn who I decided to make a warrior because I'm just boring sometimes when it comes to an MMO. I gave him a beard. I was disappointed that I couldn't get the Ragnar Lothbrok hairstyle from Vikings, and I even got to create a little backstory for my character that apparently will affect my personal storyline. That's pretty neat. I logged into the world, and not realizing that the green circle above people's heads was my personal storyline, I just proceeded to run down the nearest hill and into my first dynamic event. It's the first thing I wanted to check out in this MMO, so I just ran straight into it. I was collecting raven eggs, I was answering riddles, kicking bad guys out of trees, destroying magic runes, and fighting these underground mutant people. Now, unfortunately, in this playthrough, I have to admit that because I, ended up skipping my personal storyline quests, I had no idea what the heck was going on in the first little while of playing this game. Why are these guys up in trees? Who are the mutant mole people? I was more lost than a creative metaphor, but that didn't matter. I was enjoying the combat and the exploration while finding all of these events. I also learned that by doing these events, you get access to these special vendors once you have completed them. I will say I was a little disappointed though because these vendors didn't really sell squat to me as a new player. Many just sold the same thing as the previous vendors, which, I mean, oh well. I wish these vendors offered more unique karma rewards for completing events, but that's just a small criticism, I guess. The point is, I was doing a ton of events, running around Noob Valley, seeing what I could find, and it was fun. My lust for more events even took me into other zones that I was under-leveled for just because I wanted the challenge. What can I say? The exploration and the events were a lot of fun in Guild Wars 2. This was the first thing I wanted to check out in Guild Wars 2. I ended up diving straight into it, and it was definitely holding my interest. But damn, where the heck was the storytelling in this game? Storytelling. So you're gonna laugh at me, but I was probably level 12 or something before I realized that I had completely skipped over the personal storyline. Oh, After going on Google and learning about the green icons above the people's heads, I went back to Noob Valley, and soon enough, I was on my personal story questline. Before this, I was wondering what the heck is going on in this game. Talk about just throwing you into the world with no exploration. But now I was uncovering the mystery of what had stirred up apparently the Minotaur spirit in Noob Valley to become so hostile towards the Norns. This story took me to the Norns Great Hall, which was pretty fun to explore, then back to the higher level zones I was questing in. There, I got to do several events where I was fighting the followers of the giant ice dragon that drove out my people lore-wise to the south. I even got to kill this evil ice pet monster thing that had been feeding on the Minotaurs, which is why the greater Minotaur spirit was so angry. There were choices along the way. I got to become a Minotaur at one point. The story was engaging enough, and it was all right. Granted, this is a low-level kind of first impressions sort of video, but even at the lower level, the story was a okay experience. I'm sure it expands more and more and becomes better and better down the road. But I will say that in terms of the zones that I was exploring, I was really enjoying them a whole lot more now that I understood what the heck was going on thanks to the story. I even found myself watching some Guild Wars 2 lore videos on my second monitor while playing this game, because the game had just sucked me in once I started learning more about it. It had immersed me, and I wanted to learn more about the Norns, their lore, the zones, the dragons, and so on. Not gonna spoil anything. I'll just say that when I found myself watching these videos, I knew that Guild Wars 2 had definitely done something right in terms of immersing me as a new player, so big points there. Progression. I discovered with this game that early level progression is very enjoyable, even though I was a new player and at a low level. It's the closest I ever have felt to being a Chad warrior with a six-pack. As you go through the world, you'll discover these new weapons. As you use them, you unlock new abilities to play with. You eventually can get for yourself your racial skills. There's skill selections I experienced here and there where as a warrior, I could buff the people around me with different power-ups. There were different types of self-healing spells that I could learn. It was all really nice. I didn't get too deep into the skill trees during this playthrough, but there was a lot of grayed out and soon to be available options always taunting me on the character customization UI pages. So there certainly was a lot to look forward to with customizing your character. At least that's the impression that I got. How far in depth the system goes, I can't say exactly right now with this video, but maybe somebody in the comment section can explain progression at length for us. I can just say that in my time playing Guild Wars 2 for these few hours, I really loved finding all the new weapons to smash faces with and learning my new abilities. I actually felt as I was questing through the world that I was an adventurer picking up new skills and becoming more powerful. And that in an MMO is progression done well. I like that. The only thing that I could say is it was a little strange how I could just pick up a new weapon and I immediately knew all these abilities in relation to that weapon. It was nice, don't get me wrong, but maybe having like a light weapon skill system where the more you use a weapon, you just sort of, start unlocking the abilities progressively over time. I don't know. I think that might be a little bit nicer for progression, but just my opinion. Professions. All right, crafting was a little confusing in Guild Wars 2 for a newcomer, I admit. In this playthrough, I didn't understand at all where to get certain reagents, so despite the fact that I had all this ore from mining nodes, I didn't know how to craft anything as an armor smith. It was only later on that I realized that some of the reagents that you need to craft things, you have to buy from a vendor. And I only learned this when I decided to stream the game and show myself giving the game a shot. Oh, he sells tin. That's what you meant. Once I got the hang of crafting though, it was okay. The gear was decent, the gathering added to the exploration element of the game, which was nice, but I will say, I didn't feel any sort of impact from the crafted gear I was making. I didn't feel more powerful than I was before. I didn't feel like the gear was very useful, and that's a little bit disappointing. However, I was told that apparently as you level up in Guild Wars 2, crafting really expands and opens up more and more. Maybe it's not very appealing for new players early on. It's like crafting in World of Warcraft. If you're crafting gear in Razor Hill as an orc, it's completely pointless and a waste of time. It sucks. Crafting only takes off once you reach the current expansion, like Dragonflight. And that's okay. It's not like this was something unexpected. PvP. All right, now we're talking. It's Guild Wars 2. It's the action combat MMO where you swing a sword around and you aim abilities, and it's the game. The game is made for PvP. Come on. This was the one element of this MMO that I couldn't wait to check out. And luckily, I was able to experience it for the first time on stream in front of an audience to get my live reaction. Now, I was told, all right, by my chat, that for a newcomer to PvP, the experience would not be good. They told me I would just be getting killed, it wasn't worth it, blah, 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 skip it, keep leveling up, whatever. I am very happy to say, though, this was not the case. I was worried, but thanks to the scaling technology in Guild Wars 2, as soon as I got into a battleground, I was holding my own just as well as everybody else. Guys, I was jumping around in this one battleground like Legolas with my fire bow, raining down ruin upon the enemy team. I was going on kill sprees. This was great. Healing people and buffing people and rolling around and dodging, and I didn't get to do any world versus world PvP in this game, and that's something I'm really looking forward to, but the battlegrounds were fun. Like, wow. I love ESO's open world Cyrodiil PvP. Like, that stuff's great, so I'm very curious to see how Guild Wars 2 handled it. In my opinion, doing PvP in Guild Wars 2 was the best part of the game so far. At least for me, that's what I think. I had so much fun playing this game on stream, and all I wanted to do was get my friends together to level up with me and to do battlegrounds like side by side. That would have been great. All right, so I admit I didn't get to do any dungeons yet. No world versus world like I mentioned earlier, and in this brief exploration into the game, I only got to level 20. But I think hitting level 20, I think that's enough time invested into a game to render a pretty solid opinion as a new player in 2023. So here goes, here are my thoughts. Dynamic events, they're great. The exploration in this game is a lot of fun. The jumping puzzles, goodness gracious, those were fun. From what I can tell, there's still plenty to unlock and discover in terms of abilities and skills and ways to play the game. The lore is interesting once you give it a chance, if you want to, that is. However, I will say that crafting is a little confusing and a little underwhelming, and the game does feel a little bit overwhelming at times with all the features that it offers, but it's an old game, so that's not really unexpected. PvP though, that is where the game really shined, at least in my experience so far. Whenever it comes to a new MMO, because it's such a big time investment, a big time sink, I always play for a few hours and then step back and meditate and say, you know, is it something worth continuing, putting a few hundred hours into? And that's what I've been doing with Guild Wars 2 since filming this video. I can definitely say that the game is a breath of fresh air, especially as someone who's been playing World of Warcraft for as long as I have been. I do want to hit level cap. I want to check out dungeons. I want to even kill that big dragon monster that drove out the Norns lore-wise. I want to do that raid if such a raid exists. I've seen screenshots of what lies ahead. I've seen the mounts. I've seen all the things that there are to collect in this game, and it does make me want to proceed forward deeper and deeper into the world. I admit it is a little tricky for me right now though, considering I'm playing Dragonflight, Lord of the Rings Online, I'm playing through Jedi Survivor, and I'm working on a Minecraft server at the moment. But when I do get the time to play Guild Wars 2 in between those other games, I always have a good time. Is Guild Wars 2 worth giving a shot in 2023? As a new player, I would say definitely.